Welcome back to Barbell Therapy Check-in Edition. I am bringing to you a check-in that is critically important, okay? And that is because your emotions can get the better of you inside of your health and fitness journey. When you are feeling so down, it can totally eat you up, and that is when our spirals start. And this is where we truly have to work on behavior change and intervention, okay? Because when you start to spiral and you change the plan, you change the course of consistency, and now we've changed the landscape of what your journey is going to look like, right? So, this is why inside of the Resilience Blueprint, we have so much objective data. So then that way, when you submit your check ins on Sunday after maybe a night out with your friends or just a meal that you typically don't have, and you wake up feeling groggy because you're tired and you went to bed late and you're a little bit of bloated from the night before, we can easily pinpoint that and not let that be the reason for your spiral. So we have objective data that we collect on a daily basis. So when you submit your weekly check-in, you do not have to think about how you think you felt for the week. You actually have objective data that tells you exactly how you felt for the week and your averages, and that is what we go based off of. It's so easy to truly believe that we haven't made these changes and go into this spiral of not feeling good enough. And again, this is where I meet women that most coaches do not. Beyond objective data, we create so much identity change in such a short period of time that you end up losing sight of where you currently are. When you're not hitting 10,000 steps and you feel like a failure, but when you started just a few weeks ago, a few months ago, you were barely hitting 6,000 steps. And when we look at that weekly average, you're somewhere between 8 and 9. That's a big difference from where you started. And now we just have to figure out, okay, where was that coming from? Like, why was it hard for you to hit the goal that we have in front of you? Do we need to adjust? Is there some lifestyle change that needs to adjust, right? And that's exactly what this client in particular was experiencing. She went from unemployed when she started to a 10-day vacation immediately to a brand new job, brand new employment with a commute that she wasn't used to. So many life factors that she wasn't used to. So over the course of this past week, she was really struggling to see that she was actually making progress and felt like a failure because there were elements of her protocol that she missed that naturally when she wasn't working was a little bit easier to maintain, right? So first, we had to go back to the objective data and show her just how much progress she did make. And then we were able to peel back the layers and identify where are the current challenges with this new job that she has and how do we move forward with that. So let's get into it. Hey, happy Monday. I hope you are starting to get a little bit more settled in with your new job, but we will start to work on things here. Pretty quick check-in. Seems like your average calories were actually pretty good despite, a high day and 2 low days, as long as these are 100% of what you calculated. And even protein was pretty good. And then fiber, 28 grams on average over 7 days is pretty good too. So, realistically, when it comes to feeling guilty or having any shame towards the food, when you look at it as an average, which is what we should be doing, right? We look at the day-to-day for granular data around recovery, any spikes in the scale, things like that, but bloating, etc. But when we're looking at data to look at a full long-term goal, we do have to look at it over the average of the week, right? So I do want to be really mindful that last week, regardless of all that you had going on, you actually were really on point with your average calories and your protein and your fiber. Like, that's really freaking cool, right? Think about that right there and how you were able to overcome that. The only thing I would say, obviously, is going to be a drastic change in steps, and that's because of anxiety, change, etc. But I do think taking the train will be really helpful. And then the other thing too that we can do with the train is we can actually utilize that to habit stack, right? So if there's some pressing thing that you need to get done at work, you can utilize the train to get that done before you get in. Or and or if there's something that you need to plan for yourself. So let's say you take the time on the train to actually pre-plan your macros for the next day, right? And let's say you take the time on the train to get some self-care done, like reading a book or picking up hobby like knitting. I used to knit on the train, just as an example. But you get to like do something that is self-regulating and, almost like meditating before getting to work, which I think will be really helpful. And again, getting those 15 minutes of a walk in is definitely going to be beneficial there too. Now, when it does come to going to the gym at different times, you're only going into the office 2 days a week. So that still leaves 3 days where you can go to the gym at maybe like lunchtime instead. And maybe it's that we just make sure that our gym session is really effective and planned. So honestly, really like looking at this, when we think about it, when we are feeling certain ways, we're going to be like, oh my gosh, this was terrible. I was terrible. But then when we looked at the objective data, we're like, oh yeah, it's like really not that bad. I'm really proud of you for being resilient to be able to push through that. I'm still going to keep us at the 9,000 steps and I would like us to stay there. But if through these next couple of weeks, if work drastically makes that impossible, we will go ahead and alter that to make sure that like it is doable for you. And it might be one of those situations too that we might not hit 9,000 steps those 2 days that we're in office, but we can average 9,000 by increasing the other days. That's definitely something that we can do. We can look at like your work days to be your physical rest days so that they're mentally your hard days, and then the days that you're home, weekends, etc., can be like a more physically taxing day because it'll be less mentally taxing. So that's it for this week. I will get you the routine audit. We'll redo that so in that way you feel much better about going into this job and everything that you have going on, and we'll talk soon.